Okay, World Cruisers, this is our last real stop on the World Cruise. It's kind of bittersweet. We're going into Bermuda. Bermuda, British Overseas Territories, is shaped like a fishhook, and it's on a caldera of an ancient volcano, and it's very difficult to get into. You need to start at the top of the fishhook and sail down around the outside of the caldera and then into Royal Naval Dockyards. So this is us coming into the Royal Naval Dockyards after we sail that big loop around the outside of the caldera. Today we're going diving with Big Blue Divers. The proprietor and captain is Chris. He's been great to work with. Highly recommend them if you're in Bermuda and you want to go diving. This is their boat. We're headed out to a wreck dive, and then some undersea caves that we're going to swim through in the reef. So the water was about 84 degrees. Outside air temperature was probably 80, 82. Perfect conditions. And we went over the side of the boat in the first place. We had to swim a few hundred yards against the current over to where the wreck was. And so I sped up. You'll notice I sped up a lot of this video at both dive sites so that you can see the whole thing, but you don't have to watch it for so long. What we noticed on our way over there was that the reefs in Bermuda are in beautiful shape. I saw zero evidence of any coral bleaching at all in Bermuda, which we have seen in lots of places around the world. So here we're coming up on the back side of the wreck. And this is an old ferry that used to provide service between all the islands of Bermuda. And back in the 90s, for some reason, they decided it wasn't serviceable anymore. So they took all the engines out, anything that had oil or could be destructive to the reef. They took it out, and then they sunk this ship out there. I would guess it's maybe 100 feet long. I don't know. It's hard to tell underwater, but it's a good sized wreck, and it's got 3 levels. We're going to swim inside the wreck and go through the various levels. We're looking around the outside underneath for any lobsters or eels or fish that might have been under there. I didn't see any. So now we're going to go inside and look around in the wreck. There's a lower level down there we didn't go in. That's the bow of the boat. The ship, I guess you'd call it. It's too big to be a boat. There's the engine compartments. You can see they removed the engines before they towed the thing out there and sank it. You can also swim in that lower level down there, but we didn't go in there. So it was sunk in the 90s, so it's probably been down there for 35 years or so, something like that, 35, 40 years. Now we go up the stairs. Now there's a plaque here. I was trying to see if the plaque had the name of the ship on it, but I couldn't see it. Here's the wheelhouse. There's a fish there I was focused on. There's the wheelhouse. Looked like there's some kind of a fire hose reel there or something in the old days. So there's another ferry exactly like this one. I think it's a sister ship to this one that's still in service. And back in the harbor, you can still see it. It's still useful for ferries. There's somebody stuck a bicycle on the funnel up there. I don't know why. It was a partly rotten bicycle. So there were in all 14 of us diving today, plus the dive masters. So there's probably 18 total divers, broken up into smaller groups. See the bicycle there on the funnel. I thought it was cool, the bubbles escaping through the rusted holes in the roof there. So we even had to kind of time our entry into the sunken ship by the group, so we didn't all go in at once. That gal up ahead of us in the blue flippers is our dive master. Leah was her name. So between swimming to and back from the sunken ship, we got a fair amount of exercise. I imagine it was a couple hundred yards each way. So when the dive was over, the captain told us we had to go check out the ferry that's still in service so we could see what it looked like when it was still serviceable. Anyway, it's fun. We've gone on other wreck dives. The best was in Subic Bay in the Philippines, and that was a 400-foot long ship that was sunk at the end of World War II. And so we weren't able to, I didn't feel comfortable going inside that one, but this one was relatively new, so it wasn't really a problem to go to the inside of it. Notice when they sank it, the bows kind of crumpled, so it must have hit bow first when it sank. And then leveled out. The wheelhouse from the outside. So that's it for the first dive. That's the wreck dive. The second dive, which we're going to start in just a minute here, was to some underground or underwater caves in the coral. There's I don't know, I think they said a couple hundred square miles of total reef area around Bermuda, so it's fairly well protected from storms that come in, and it does get subject to a lot of hurricanes. Being off the east coast of the U.S., but the waves don't impact the island too much because the reef is so big around it, like the huge caldera of a volcano where only the small middle section is above the water line. So they have to prepare for the wind, but they don't get too much wave damage in Bermuda. And here again, we broke up into two groups. The first group entered the caves from one direction, and we swam all the way around and entered the caves from the other direction after the other folks exited. So actually, when we got to the entrance of the cave, we had to wait a few minutes for the other divers coming the other direction to exit. But again, you notice the reef is in such beautiful shape. It has zero coral bleaching, so the coral here isn't quite as colorful as it has been in some of our other dive locations. but still beautiful nonetheless. Different kinds of coral. Here's lots of brain coral, some fan coral, some beautiful bushy, I don't know what kind of coral you call it, but it's beautiful. So for me, this is dive number 33 on the Ultimate World Cruise. All the places we've stopped. And our final dive, because we're headed back to Coco Cay day after tomorrow. It will be the final stop before going back to Miami. And we are not diving in the Bahamas this time. We did dive on our first stop in Coco Cay when we left Miami. But they have a big party planned for us on the island, a coming home party, end of world cruise party on Coco Cay. So I'm not sure if I'll be making a video there or not. All right, we're about to the cave, and pretty soon you're going to see some folks coming out of it. We got a lot of exercise this day, that's for sure. And long distance swimming. Okay, you can see the bubbles up ahead. Those are the other divers coming out of the tunnel from the other direction. So we have to kind of just sit here and wait for a while they come out. I think the last one out was Ian. Coming the other way. So this is the first of two caves we're going to go through. There are openings up above to let some light in, openings in the coral. We're probably about, I don't know, 40 feet deep here, not too deep. Turn around and wait for the others to come out. Now the next cave, the exit of the next cave is very near where the boat was anchored, so we had to swim a ways to get to it. Once we got out of the second cave, we just went up and did a safety stop and climbed back on the boat. I slowed it down here and then sped it back up again to get to the second cave. We did see some different varieties of fish here that we hadn't seen anyplace else in our multiple dives on the Ultimate World Cruise. Sometimes they see a shark or two here, sometimes some rays, but we didn't see any during our dive. I guess the dive masters, they dive this thing every day, so they know exactly where the entrances are to the caves. The next cave that we're going in, you really couldn't see the entrance unless you knew it was there. It wasn't obvious. See the dive master all of a sudden disappear under a ledge. going into the cave. There she goes. We're looking around. Well, there must be a cave in there somewhere. There she goes. You can see there's a pretty good current that we're swimming against in this cave. All the growth is folded back over towards us. This one's a little bit of a tight fit right here. You kind of had to go slow to keep your tank from hitting on the rocks above you. Anyway, we had a great day. Lots of exercise. Saw some great stuff with the wreck and the caves. And stay tuned for our next stop at Coco Cay, where we'll probably just film the coming home party that Royal Caribbean has planned for us. So Coco Cay will be Monday, and then we're back in Miami on Tuesday, and we head home.